eventually.
Oh, didn't I
Um,
stop sharing?
no, that's okay. All right, there we go. Hello, everybody. Good morning. 10 o'clock Eastern time. Hello to everybody here in the US, around the world. I'm excited to be here. My name is Tim Brzezinski. I am currently a high school and middle school mathematics teacher here in Wallingford, Connecticut. I teach at 4 different schools now, 2 middle schools, 2 high schools, and my Google Classroom is literally insane. In fact, I'll just show you here. And so let me just see something right here. Yeah, this is what my Google Classroom looks like. It's pretty crazy. Now, not all these classes are mine, but the pink ones are. But I mean, yes, I taught high school mathematics for 15 years, 2002 to 2017. And after 2017, I resigned to pursue a career more in independent mathematics education consulting. And I did that for 3.5 years. The last year of that, I worked for GeoGebra as their professional development director. And, my contract there ended a few months ago, February 1st. And, throughout that time, I've been thinking, what do I want to do? I really miss working with students every day and teachers. And so I just knew that, hey, I love what I was doing, but I really wanted to be where my heart really wanted to be, was back in the classroom. So I'm here now, back in the classroom. It's like being a first year teacher all over again. But even though I'm not new to teaching and learning, but I feel like a first year teacher in some respects. So this, for the next 40 minutes, I'm just gonna kind of talk. Kasha and I were talking, and it's going to be more like a day in the life. I mean, my spring break just started for next week, but I'm going to use this 40 minutes to show you. I'm going to plan for when we come back. So I'm going to actually get some lesson planning done and having you guys be like watching to see, like, just looking behind the scenes to say, this is kind of what I do as a teacher to help to use GeoGebra to help me put the students at the center of my learning, number one. But number two, as Rob pointed out in the last session, how I can use GeoGebra Classroom now to assess in real time. And basically, I want to custom make it the way I want, right? A lot of us, we look at GeoGebra, we find something we like, oh man, I want to use that, but I want to change that question, or I want to get rid of this, and I want to take an applet from this activity, and I want to throw it in this activity here. It's like we want to custom build our own things. I'm going to show you how to do that here. And in doing so, I'm kind of going to walk you through what I'm going to do maybe with the week we come back in 2 weeks. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to rock and roll. So now, crazy Google Classroom, right? I have like 4 or 5 different preps, among 4 buildings. It's insane. So I go over here to GeoGebra now. All right. And I go over here to GeoGebra. Let's see, right here. This is my other GeoGebra account. I mean, yes, I have my Tim Brzezinski GeoGebra account, but I have another one that I kind of use behind the scenes that I used to just use for my classes. And I'm telling you, folders on your profile page are a game changer. They help keep your life sane and organized. So if I make a class here, I can create a folder right here. Basically, I'll call it FLGGB 2021. Right? I won't be able to share that folder with you, but anything that I create for a class, I like to put it in there. Okay. I have a Math 8 7A class, a 7B, but this helps keep my life organized. And if I look at any folder here, I see a lot of different GeoGebra classes that I made for this particular class. Because some teachers like to create a GeoGebra class and have like 80 people join from 4 different classes, but it's hard to organize through the names. So if I find an activity that I want to use for, say, 3 sections of the same class, then what I end up doing is I make 3 different classes. I'll show you what I mean. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go to the remote learning templates that Rob showed us here. There's a lot of gold here. So what I'm going to do for the next, say for the next 10 minutes is I'm going to create an activity where students explore surface area of rectangular prisms, right? Right now with COVID, students are still home. Some students are in the building, right? A lot of districts still hybrid. Kids are transitioning back, people getting vaccinated, right? But what I want to do here is go here. All right. And I want to steal one of these starter screens to check in with my students social emotionally. I'm going to take one of these. Like maybe I'll take this, or I like the Garfield one better. All right. That just simply has the students check in and tell me how you're feeling today. You know, where, I mean, like, honestly, this is a chance where students can really tell you how they're feeling. Okay, I know I go crazy, but there we go. I like that. But you know, also this is a qualitative. We're talking about plotting a point in the quadrant. What does each quadrant mean? You know, but I want to take this one, and what I want to do with that is I want to merge it with one of these. I'm talking surface area, and we often start with rectangular prisms, right? So, in looking at this here, it's just three of the same thing. This is what I like to call a virtual manipulative, where you can play with these, go around here and there, and you can create nets, have students explore, and also to differentiate, you can have top and bottom, left, front and back, left and right. So there's a lot you could do with this here, but these are just templates. I want to put some directions on here with them. So what I'm going to do, anytime you find something that you like and you want to copy it, you want to go up here. Let's think about it. In Google, when you're working with a Google Doc and you wish you can edit it, but you can't, what do you have to do? You go to File, make a copy, right? So I'm going to do, in terms of planning for next week or the week after, I'm going to go here. See? Instead of adding to favorites, I mean, no, people have their favorite sharing. I'm going to copy this activity right here. Any public activity in GeoGebra that you find, you can copy and edit to your heart's content. And once you do, it becomes yours. All right, so check it out. I'll copy it. And just like Google does, you see how the title says copy of? When you copy a Google Doc, you see the words copy of there. Right, and so I'm gonna get rid of that copy of, and I'll just change it to FLGGB 2021 demo, whatever like that, right? So I'm gonna actually have I'm gonna decorate this up a little bit, but before we go any further, I want to put that Garfield check-in app right in here. So I'm gonna show you how to do that here. All right, and actually I'm gonna delete, see this applet right here. I'm actually gonna delete that. Just get rid of the trash can. All right, the trash can right there, delete it. This lets me edit, copy, delete. Okay, so just there. Now, if you want to take, here's a little GeoGebra trick here. If you want to take something else and throw it in an activity you're building, you want to go to add element. Here I'm going to add a GeoGebra element that exists somewhere else. So I need to click on GeoGebra. And now let's see how here it says search for existing applets or enter the URL. Well, I find it a lot easier to enter the URL. So since I'm right here, excuse me for a second. All right, nope, this Zoom thing is in the way here. All right, so since I'm working on the left tab here, but I'm gonna go back to remote learning templates and I'm gonna find that one that I'm missing, the Garfield one. Okay, I'm gonna copy this URL right here. I'm gonna copy that. So now I have the URL. I have the URL to this app right here. I go back to the activity that I am making right now. Go to add element, GeoGebra. Now I'm going to paste that URL right in there, and see how it pops up right there. That's what I love about it. This is how you take an applet from one activity and throw it in your own. Okay, so I'm going to add it. All right, and I'm just going to hit done because I don't want to play with it. I don't want to mess with it. All I want to do, let me zoom out just a little bit here. All I want to do is just literally use that, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it up above so it's the first thing that the kids see. Okay, so here, let me just adjust my window. I'm sorry. So right here, I've taken a GeoGebra app from another activity, and I threw it in my own. So here's my social emotional check-in with students. So use move large black point. Oh, move the large point. Tell me how you're feeling today. And this is confidential. This is between student and teacher. Because honestly, if you get a student who puts the point down here, then you know that you kind of know, and someone who's normally here has an off day is here, you know that. But you would never really know that with distance learning. It's kind of hard, right? So that's one thing. All right, let me just make it bigger there. So now here, right? Now I want to give some directions here. So I could put that in the heading. See, what I want my students to do is to build and play with this rectangular prism, just to get a feel for it. All right, so I want you to, I'll say, hey, students, whoops. Interact with the following, with the prism below. And answer the questions that follow or something like, or interact with the prism below for a few minutes. Then create a prism whose length equals, say, 5, width equals 2, and height equals, say, 7. Okay, or maybe 8. So I want them to play, and then I'm going to ask them to build it. And then I, again, hit done. All right. So see here, tell me how you're feeling. And I just want you to play with this, and I want you to make a 5 by 2 by 8 prism. Okay. That's what I want my students to do. So now, now I want to ask some questions, right? So I'll add element. I could ask a question. There's a question icon right there. You could throw GeoGebra notes in there. You could put a PDF, an image, a video, an external website, but these are the most powerful ones, I think, here. All right. So for the question, I might ask a question that says, hey, you know what? With your prism above, let me just make it bigger so you can see it. Above, how many squares do you see on one pink face? Right, and I could take the word pink face there. I can go to the A tool, and I can go to color, make it pink and make it bold. Or I can even do this to really get their attention, right? Bold it, and then I'll make it pink. See what I'm saying? And I have the students answer that. Okay, so they're going to make their 5 by 2 by 8 prism and tell me how many squares they count on it. Some students will count the squares, some students will do length times width. The point is, I don't want to give them a formula. I want them to discover for themselves, virtually or in person, that, you know, a rectangular prism has 2 of the same face, you know, two sets of 3 rectangular faces, right? Right there. So now I'm going to duplicate this question now. See here, I'm going to duplicate it. That's the copy icon. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color, and I'm going to change pink to green, pink to, I think, yellow. So let me go here, put it in yellow there. Was that yellow or something? Yellow face or something like that, right? There we go. I'll copy it one more time. What was that last color? White, white. Yeah. So now I'll go here. Well, there, I can't put it in white, so I'll just put it in black. One white face. Okay. So there we go. So I see how I'm saying? I have them make the prism, and I'm just asking them questions. Right. Now, another thing that I could do here is to literally like just ask a question that's a multiple choice or check all that apply. So here's the question. I check multiple choice. I know I do see questions there. I will answer them all at 40 past, I promise. So how many different rectangles, or I should say unique rectangles, do we have here? And I could say 1, add answer, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's obviously 6 faces, right? And the correct answer is obviously 3. There's only really 3 unique faces, right? In this particular case, if I made a cube, that'd be 1, right? But you get what I'm saying. So I'll hit done. By the way, this is a check all that apply. So you can actually have more than 1 right answer, where there's like 2 to the n possibilities, but here there's only 1, right? So I could do that. But you see what I mean? But now but what I can even do now is I can clone this. See, I can actually copy an entire applet. Look at that copy thing. I can do that, boom. And then it's down here. And now I can have them make one that's different dimensions, like say this by this by this, and I can copy these questions over again. So you see, and I'm not going to do so to save time, but you see right here, this is the power of GeoGebra. And when I throw this in GeoGebra Classroom, I'll be able to see what you're doing, and you'll be able to to answer. So now I'm going to hit save and close. So I actually just published, I actually created like something I'll use as like an intro for one day, 2 weeks from now when I come back. Now, GeoGebra is going to improve the workflow here because I mentioned this to them before, but whenever you copy an activity, you make your changes and then you save it. It goes, unfortunately, right now, it goes back to the original file that you copied, and I don't want this original. I want the copy. Well, GeoGebra is going to fix it so that it opens in a new tab, like your copy, like Google does. But for right now, to get back to find what you just made, you want to go back to GeoGebra, go to your profile, and you will find your activity that you made literally right here. So if I click on it to view it, see, move the large point, tell me how you're feeling, man, and just, hey, there, I want you to play with this, build it, kind of do all sorts of different things, right? And whatever, and then you could actually modify it, do what you got to do. And now you can go ahead and answer the questions, and it's right there. And so I'm not going to create a class now because Rob already did that. All right, but I want to show you some other things. I'll create a class towards the end for one of the things that we build, something that's way more fun than this. But the main idea I wanted to get across to you are two things. Right here, go back to GeoGebra. In these templates, you can use them as is, or you can copy and edit them at any time. See, they have lots of blank whiteboards, grid whiteboards. Those are the notes files you have there. Maybe you just want a GeoGebra calculator suite. If you just want 3 quick graphing, a graphing calculator with notes, graph calculator with notes, you just create a class from that. But if you want to customize this thing at any time, you go here, you go copy, and I tell my students, say, okay, you Algebra 2 teachers, hey, sketch the graph of a function that is even where f of 0 is 2. You could type that in the directions. You see, it's so easy to copy a template, make it your own, and you could do that within like 5 minutes. Okay, so that's what we just did right there. All right, now this is a transition point to, I can stop sharing. Are there any questions? I did see some there because I'm going to go on to something in terms of assessment and engagement and higher level thinking. We're going to go there next, but I just want to see, are there any where's the Q&A here? The monitor there. Something answered. Moderators, were there any questions that need an answer like right now, or can we wait to the end? What do you think, Kasha? And
I think it is good.
Okay.
It is really good. Somebody posted a link to your YouTube channel. Thank you so much. So just continue with your planning. Somebody pointed out you do 2 jobs at once. You do your planning and you present. So it's very interesting. Please continue how you will proceed with your class.
Okay, sure. So now let me go here. So now I want to show you some other things. With rectangular prisms, right? I could ask my students like, hey, there are ways to ask students, give them a rectangular prism, find the surface area, find the surface area, find the surface area. That's a low level thinking question, right? I never teach my students a formula, 2LW plus 2LH. No. When my students play with GeoGebra, they figure out for themselves, oh, I find the area of one face, double it. I find the area of another face, I double it. I don't need to give them a formula because giving them a formula is procedural knowledge. That's not conceptual understanding, right?
Sorry, Tim, there are a couple of questions. One was, do you have to create a different activity if you want to create 3 classes for the same activity?
Oh, no. So what no, that's a great.
And second was about the saving time with grading.
Okay.
So how to save time with grading? These 2 couple of things. So
I'll show you. Here's what I do. I will answer that. I'm going to jot a note down and I'm going to save that question for the end. Okay. Grading, probably in the Q&A session, because I'm going to show you how my grading looks quite easily. All right. But definitely I'm going to postpone the grading question, but I made a note to answer it later. Okay. But in order for, see this demo that I did here, let's suppose I want to do this period 2, period 3, and period 4. So what I do here, I create class, I'll do here period 1. I create it, right? So now, again, the workflow is going to improve here in terms of opening, because right now it doesn't open a new tab, but I ping the devs about it and they're like, yeah, we're going to fix that. But right now, if I go back here to view original, that's the original activity where I create another class and I call it period 2, create. I go back and view the original right here. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing again, create a class, period 3, create. Okay. So I just made 3 GeoGebra classes right now. And if I go back to my profile, look at this. It's on my profile page. See my class for period 1, my class for period 2, my class for period 3. So whenever my period 3 class meets, as Rob showed you, I'm going to copy that link and I'm going to give it to my students in the chat so they can hop on.
Sorry, Tim, there is one question which I think it could be good to slow down to. Can you just very quick redo what you do? You come to your web page here, how you create a class.
Well, you have to find an activity first.
Okay.
Okay. The word class is, I think, kind of misleading. The original name for GeoGebra Classroom was called Live Lesson, right? And so when you hit that button that's called Create Class, say like,
so you choose activity first, whatever activity you want to choose, whatever, yes, whatever activity. Right. And on the right-hand side, you have this create class, yes?
Right, that's how you create a class. I can create a class from this activity as it is, or like I said before, I could copy the activity, this awesome resource that Anthony Orr created. I could copy it and I can call it warm up for my elementary level students who are telling time. You know, say
very
here,
clear, very clear. Thank you so much, Tim, for repeating. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Jack came home at quarter to 11 express this time below. You see what I mean? So I can do that. See, I take a general template, I make it my own. You know what I mean? That's the whole power of GeoGebra here. Copy activity. That's really the main idea of what I'm doing here. Okay. So another thing, I won't save that. So another thing here that I want to show you is, if I'll give you the website, I'll give you the link to this too. I'll drop it in the chat. If you want to access any of these problems here, let me throw it in there. Panelists and attendees. There is a website called Open Middle. Okay, more information right here. That website, or I have Steve Phelps and I and John Albright. We've created a lot of GeoGebra versions of these problems. But basically, right here, Open Middle is a site founded by Robert Kaplinski. He is an amazing mathematics education consultant, but you know, the problems that the big idea with Open Middle is that, you know, Open Middle is an awesome alternative to replace the drill and kill worksheets that we give our students again and again. Find the slope of the line, find the slope of the line, find the slope of the line. Well, you know what? Instead of asking students to find the slope of a line repeatedly, why don't we do something that looks like this instead? All right. Here's an example of an Open Middle question related to, say, slope. Let me just find it first. Let me see something here. Sorry about the noise. Let me just see here. Open Middle. Here it is. Check this out. So here's an example. So this is kind of what I'm talking about right here. Using the digits 0 to 9, no more than 1 time each, fill in the blanks to make a true statement. So you see, the rule is I can plot those points anywhere I want, and I have to find the slope of that line, but I can only use one digit once. So let me show you an example here, right? So here, it's like if I look at the way the triangle is right here, see how this is, the slope is 4 over 4. Hey, that's cool, that's correct, but I have repeated digits. You see how I use the number 4 3 times? And so now I think, okay, well, how do I do this here? So, you know, say something that looks like this. All right, maybe this. Well, the slope here is 3/4 now, right? Oh, but the problem is I have repeated digits. Ah, shoot, you know what I mean? And so I go here again. I go here. Oh, I still have 3/4. The slope is still 3/4. Now, here's a great way where students can, like, say, think outside of the box, right? And again, they don't realize this at first, but I mean, and I asked students, well, I had students working on this the other week, like, well, what's the problem? Well, and they're expressing their thoughts to me. It's like, well, the problem is that I can't see the challenge of getting no repeated digits is a mental exercise that actually forces them to think conceptually about what they are doing and why they're doing it, right? Like, obviously, if I start at 0 here, whatever this X coordinate is probably going to be what they type here. You see what I mean? So then we think, what are the alternatives? I mean, how else can I write 3/4? Oh, maybe I could do 6/8. You see what I mean? So there is an example. If students can wrestle with something like this for 5 minutes and do a problem like this for like maybe 3 or 4 times. Here's an even higher level question. Given these restrictions, what's the highest possible slope you can create here? That's higher level thinking. You see, think about something like this. When you're having your kids work with slope, you can actually create a class from something like this and see students work like literally in real time. Okay, so right here, okay, I'm going to show you what I did there after with slope. I'm going to come back to it, but if you explore the options here, right, here's an example of a surface area question that's higher level thinking. Check this out, and you could create a class from it. I'm going to do this like with my kids next week. I want you to create a rectangular prism whose surface area is 82, and there are actually 2 solutions here. So the students have all the tools they need, right? Ooh, 82. Well, if I make it 5 by 3, it's 15 and 15, it's 30. And what about this one? 30 and let's see, that's 4 by 5 is 20, 22. So you see here, I could check. Oh, this is 94, not quite. But you see, this actually, do you see how this is higher level thinking? Because instead of asking my students to find the surface area, lower level thinking, I'm asking them to build a prism that has a surface area. That's a lot harder. But if my students could do this successfully 2 times, there's my assessment right there in this COVID era. Because the paper pencil tests have to go out the window. When it comes to remote and hybrid learning, we cannot give tests and quizzes the same way we did pre-pandemic. It just doesn't work. I think somebody once said that buying it just doesn't make any sense. So here, having students work by themselves or together to do something like this, it's pretty powerful. All right, and even I'm going to show you something, another activity that I'm going to do with my kids. I'm going to build it right now. It's found in I want to show you something awesome in the IM curriculum that GeoGebra has. All right. That Monique Zhao, she's a lead curriculum designer at GeoGebra. Shout out to Monique. I know she's watching there. Thank you, Monique, for doing all this. But right here, all right, I'm going to steal something from the IM curriculum. Check this out. And I'm going to make it something totally different.
Wait, Tim. Can you post the link to IM in the chat, please? Thank you.
I can. I totally will. But again, it's on GeoGebra's website. It's literally the first one right there, like on the homepage. But I will put it there.
Don't forget, this is for American users.
I'll do it.
Okay, actually, thank you. Don't forget, Tim, this is for American users. It is not popping up in other countries, okay?
Oh, I see. Yeah, there are people around the world that are using it too. Actually,
yeah, but Ed, you need the link. Thank you.
Ed, geogebra.org/IM, that works. Do that. I think that's it. geogebra.org/IM. I think that there it is. I'll throw it in, Ed. Don't worry about it. That actually gives it to everybody there.
Thank you.
You got it. All right. So right here, I'm going to take something from the middle school curriculum. All right. Check this out. Area, surface area. And it's in this lesson here with squares and cubes or something. Student materials. Now look at this. I love this here. This is one of my favorite apps here. There's 30. Now the illustrative math team built this thing. See, you can actually pull cube. If you click it, you can move them up. I can start to build some 3D surfaces, right? So you know what I'm going to do here? See how the directions here say use the 32 cubes to build the largest single cube you can? right? But I want to do something different with that. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to plan right now. I'm going to copy that activity. Again, you got to work smart, not hard. I don't have the time to make that thing. Neither do you, right? But I'm going to get rid of all the stuff that I don't want. Get rid. See the trash can? I keep that. See, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. There's one with 64. I'll get rid of it for now. If I need, I can get it back. Get rid of it, delete. Boom. I'm deleting everything except that one thing I want. Again, it's 30 extra seconds. See? Now watch this. You ready for this? I'm going to make a totally different thing. I'm going to delete that. And I want you to create a composite solid. Look like an L or, like those like Tetris 3D figures, right? Create a composite solid whose surface area is, let's say, 26 square units. There we go. Well, the least one, it has to be at least 6, right? Because this doesn't that cube have a surface area of 6? So I want to see if it's possible for the students to make one whose surface area is 26. So when the kids do that, they can actually do something like that. Okay. So I could say more. Beyond, right? And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to go to add element. I'm going to steal something else that I know exists in GeoGebra here. I think it's under, I know it's in the open middle book. Let me just find it quickly. Right here. Someone's like, I got to find something in the, it's probably in Decatur 6 geometry. Here it is. I think I made this one there. Here we have a prism made up of 27 identical cubes. And the objective here is to remove cubes from this thing so that we create a figure with the greatest possible surface area. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to put it back here and paste it. Well, if that happens, a little trick, little hack, get rid of that piece. I'm going to screenshot it there, but and make it look like that. Not that you wouldn't know that, I'm sorry, but see, like right here, you take it and see, there it is. Now here we have a 3 by 3 by 3 cube. Remove cubes to create a solid whose surface area is as large as possible. Now the actual answer here is to remove the center ones from each face, because then you have, see how you remove 1 square unit from the face, but then you have a total of 1, 2, 3. You have 5. Every time you remove 1, you have 5 new ones getting added on, so you net 4, right? But kids will come to discover that. You see what I mean? And then now I can add an element and say, I like to put in GeoGebra notes and just hit done. See GeoGebra notes, it comes right there. And now I could say, hey, explain how and why you know your answer is correct. Okay, so there's something else like right there. So it's like surface area 26, and I save it and close it. I took something that IM had that made, like twice. And again, here's the original that I copied. I don't want that. GeoGebra is going to improve that. But go to your profile. There's my activity called Beyond. And see, now if I make a class here, we could play with it for a minute. I want you to see 3D here. This is pretty cool. All right, why don't you guys join my GeoGebra class? And I want you to see here 3D in motion here with GeoGebra Classroom, because it's powerful.
Sorry, Tim, there is a remark. Can you a little bit slow down?
Sure.
Thank you so much.
I figured it was okay because it is recorded, but I will slow down.
You always have this wonderful ability to do things fast, but some of us are still human beings. Thank you.
What are you saying?
But Tim is right. Anybody who misses something or anything, it is recorded. So we are going to share these out, and you can always slow Tim down.
Please slow me down. This is good.
On the recording, that's good point. Like listen to 0.5. Thank you.
No problem. Sorry about that. But yeah, again, if all you have to do is drag cubes out. And I'm willing to bet that even in like normal school, when we're all back in there, when we pass out cubes, they fall down, they get dirty. It's almost like I don't want to say this is better, but it's almost like even in normal school, it's almost like as a teacher, I have access to your thinking right now. How cool is that? I can see how everybody's thinking live. Whoops. Let's see, you can see what I see here. See what I mean? But if you want to move a cube up in the air, click on the red point so the arrows point up. I'll show you what I mean in the chat, because if this is your first time working in 3D, it seems kind of weird, but let me show you the easy way to do it. You take that red dot, you can move it out. If you click on the red dot, you see how it's pointing like north, south, east, and west. If you click on it once, it goes up, down, and now I can move it up. Now I can move it up and down. If you click on it with your mouse, now you keep it at the same height above the grid, if that makes sense. But you can ask students to build a composite solid over here. And it takes a few minutes to get used to, see? But now, right? Now I can see, I can actually move it around and see it. I got 3 square units here. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 here. I have 3, you see what I'm saying? So it's like I can actually see it better almost. Not better, but I can see it well because I could spin this around and play with it. But see, this is a question that our students cannot ask Google to help them with, or Siri or Alexa. I can ask Siri to find the surface area of a rectangular prism. Hey Siri, what is the surface area of a rectangular prism 6 by 5 by 4?
Okay, I found this on the web for what is the surface area of a rectangular prism 6x5x4. Check it out.
And the site that I go to actually solved it for me. But if I ask Siri to do this, probably not going to be so successful, you know? So
thank you very much, Tim. I think this is very good point. I just wanted to point out that also at university, we have, for example, for calculus, all the questions from calculus book are answered.
Yes.
Very good point of making this point, that assessing with Google GeoGebra Classroom are changing our assessment.
Can I say something else with respect to calculus?
Absolutely.
Here? Look at this. So it's like, how about asking students instead of solving a problem, let's build it. Use the digits 1 to 9 at most 1 time each. Fill in the boxes to make the line tangent to the parabola. How much thinking do students have to do there? You see, any question, any book, they can Google and find it in a second. But right here, not so easy. But with GeoGebra, here, I mean, like we built a version of this, they can actually see, right? I mean, like 4x plus whatever, right? I can actually change these coefficients, right? So it's like, but I can't use the digits more than 1 time each. Or how about something like this? Using the digits 1 to 9 at most 1 time each, place a digit in each box so the integral is as close to 100 as possible. Think of all the deep thinking that goes on here. See, this is a regular question. We're making it higher level thinking. And in a pandemic, these are the kind of questions that we need to give our kids. Now, granted, it has the area right here, right? But you see here, it's like you can play, you can explore, and you can do a lot of different things. Okay. And I promise I'm going to answer the grading question. I know I have to do that. That was actually the
absolutely,
next part of what I was going
Tim.
to talk.
We need, so you are creating your class. We have seen how you work in pandemic, how you work to prepare the plan. So always a question, how we assess.
Sure. Now, assessment in this day and age has to be formative. I mean, someone gave the analogy once, like, what's the difference between formative versus summative assessment, right? And again, we hear those words all the time. And I forgot who said this, so I'm quoting somebody else, anonymous, I forgot, but it's almost like you're in a restaurant and formative assessment is the cook, is the chef tasting the food as they go along, as they're cooking it. Needs more salt, needs more of this, needs more of that. So it informs the chef of what's going on. So he or she makes it better. But the summative assessment is, okay, I bring the dish out to the customer. I hope they give me a good review on Yelp. Right. So it's kind of like that. So, but all the assessment that we do here now in this, it has to be formative and it's got to be quick. And anything that is low level thinking, like what we call a depth of knowledge one task, where find the slope of the line, true or false, answer like something that's quick, right? The grade needs to be automatic as much as possible. And GeoGebra has helped me do that for my students. So I'm going to share my screen again and answer that grading question.
Yes,
here.
please, Tim. Thank you very much. This is the question we all need. Thank you.
Sure. Now in GeoGebra, I mean, I know Steve Phelps has made some, John Albright's made some. I've made a lot of like these quick assessment questions, correct, not correct kind of thing. So here, for example, let me just go to which one was it? Let me just find one on slope. I actually did this the other day with my students. Right here, for example, right? Let me just find some, say slope quiz. All right. Not this one. Let me find the other one here. I'll find it quick. Slope quiz one. There it is. All right. So what this is asking students to do really quickly is to move the points here. I want students to move these points to create a line with slope -9/8. All right. Oop, not correct. Or whatever, or I can make something simpler here. What is that? -2/3. I can't see. Yeah. So what do a lot of students do on paper? They do something that looks like they do something that looks like this, right? They always mess up the rise and the run, right? And they will just make a negative slope, correct, but they'll do it positive, right? So how do I, or something like this, but it's still not correct. So how do I get it to the point where they're like being able to do it and seeing time and time again? There's only one problem here, and there's this silent screencast. I don't want the screencast. So here's what I did. I take this, just like I showed you before, I copy the activity. Again, anything public you find, you can copy it anytime you want, right? So right here, I'm gonna just get rid of this and call it warm up. Maybe I had students warm up with this the other day, but you know what? Now, the problem here is that this new problem button, I don't want it to be there. So I'm just going to hit edit applet right here, and I'm going to actually get rid of it. All right. And again, we're not doing any advanced GeoGebra programming here, but if I just move that down a little bit, right, if I right click on it, again, if all I have to do is right click, uncheck show object, it disappears. And I'm going to get rid of the video. Just should have gotten rid of that anyway. I hit done, but see, this is now one question. And all I want to do, I have to give the students directions here. Move white points around to create a line with the given slope. Okay, the assessment piece is coming, I promise you that. All right, and so now, right here, I hit done. But now, all students need are 2 or 3 or 4 of these. So guess what? Copy it, copy. I hit the copy button 2 or 3 times. 4. Look at that. I mean, there's random numbers in there anyway, right? And so now I hit save and close. And there we go. I can make a class from that literally. And again, got to go back and get it on my profile. But see, this is the activity that I made a class from to assess. And I'm going to show you, I'm not going to make a class now because there's no time, but I'll just show you a quick sneak peek at what I saw this past week. Right here in my Google Classroom, for example, maybe it was right here. Let me just find it quick. let me see. So something that looked like this. Let me just go to it. I'll hide the names, but you see right here, I looked at this student here. So this was like that activity that I had basically, or this might've been a similar activity, but different, but this student too was able to correctly, determine the slope of the line. See the 2 or 3 questions. This is my assessment here. So this is my formative assessment. And in terms of a formative, I can turn this into a summative grade because of the conditions that my students are in right now. All right. So that's kind of an example of how I used it, in my day-to-day teaching, if you will.
Excuse me. So this is, Tim, if I may ask, this is not automated. This is, you still have to type in for example, the number of correct answers if you would like to make it summative. Yes.
Right. Well, the thing is, it's like, if I know teachers ask me a lot, well, how do I have GeoGebra spit out the number correct? Well, you could program that in the applet. I never do that personally, because it's just like, to me, this is way more of a formative assessment platform than summative. Like, I'm not using this as an end of unit chapter. It's like, okay, tell me how many you got right. I mean, it's like, because to me, that doesn't really tell us much, because students could be getting these incorrect for a lot of different reasons. For even in that simple slope applet one, some students mess up negative positive. Some students, confuse the rise and the run. So like if GeoGebra just spit out to me the number right versus number wrong, that doesn't really tell me much as a teacher. I need to look at each student's work individually. That's why I give them less to do, a whole lot less. But then the quantity decreases, the quality has to increase, the communication, because the way that I assess my credit recovery students now, all right, is literally, it's all 100% formative. They still have to think deeply. I give a lot of open middle questions, a lot of, hey, let's build something. I want you to, in GeoGebra 3D, make 2 rectangular prisms that are similar and tell me why. Asking students to create 2 prisms that are similar and explaining why. For students who struggle with math, that is higher level thinking for that group. And that to me is an assessment grade in and of itself,
Okay, wonderful, Tim. I think the time passed. Maybe we can go to Q&A.
Sure.
And I wanted to point out to everybody